Want to hear a clean joke? You didn't scrub hard enough.
What's its name? Squeakerbeak or something?
Sparklebeak.
Sparklebeak.
Where is he?
You tell me.
And then, I just kept hitting him until he stopped, and I heard, gurgling, and I was like, what's going on?
Today you'll see one of the craziest interrogations ever caught on tape, as we look at a case of murder, deceit, mystery, and conspiracy. This is Russell Jones in an interrogation room waiting to be questioned by police. But what could have led Jones to this moment, and why is he acting so strangely?
I'm not demanding, I'm asking nicely. As a kind civilian that also knows how to manipulate cops. You're listening in on my conversations, aren't you?
2017, October 2nd, 6:42 a.m. Police conduct a welfare check at a Medford home on Benson Street after the two youngest daughters of 50-year-old Aaron Friar discovered evidence of a horrifying crime in their house. They realized their father was missing and called his girlfriend, who then called the police. When they arrived, they discovered not only was the father missing, his vehicle was too. Later that morning, the vehicle was found, and a short time later, 3 people were detained after being spotted on a road near where the police discovered Aaron Friar's car. Further investigation led the police to a dirt embankment where they found the body of Aaron Friar. Those 3 people who were arrested were the man's daughter, Ellen Rose Friar, her boyfriend, Gavin McFarland, and his close friend, the man we see in this interrogation video, Russell Jones.
Mike.
Okay. Mike what?
Smith.
Mike Smith? Okay.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like one of those weird names.
Sure it's not Russell?
Well, that is one of the names I know about it.
Russell immediately lies to the police officer, which may give us an indication of a state of mind. Then Jones makes an alarming claim.
I actually started my own protection business.
Did you?
Yeah.
What kind of protection?
I know it's kind of risky, but I work with people 20 and younger, legally considered a runaway type of age.
Back in the interrogation room, we see Jones openly mocking the police, being conscious of the camera and appearing to know the legal rules surrounding mental health. Worse, he seems to know how to imitate a mental disorder. Jones notices the recording device, and he begins to play games with the police once again.
You're listening in on my conversations, aren't you?
He touches the device with an almost childlike intrigue and then looks at the camera as if he is mocking insanity.
We can do this the nice way, or we can do it the hard way and I can release my bipolar.
Would someone suffering from bipolar make such a threat? Jones seems too confident and looks like he is playing some kind of villain from a Hollywood movie rather than a police suspect. But what happened to Aaron Friar? And how did this dedicated father end up dead in a dirt embankment? And what were the 3 suspects, especially his own daughter, doing on the dirt road near the abandoned vehicle? It all goes back to Ellen's time at South Medford High School, where at only 15 years old, she met high school dropout Gavin McFarland, who was 19 years old at the time. It didn't take long before the pair fell in love, and they were all too aware that as she was underage, their love was forbidden. The discovery of their relationship was not met with approval, with Aaron Friar and Ellen's mother objecting the most, both ordering her to stay away from McFarland. Going against her parents, she continued to see him secretly and was eventually caught out by her furious father, who threatened McFarland if he ever came near his daughter again. It was at this point that Ellen Friar, Gavin McFarland, and at 22, the oldest of the suspects, Russell Jones, would begin down a path that would change all their lives forever. After being banned from seeing McFarland, Ellen began to claim her father was abusing her, enraging McFarland and Jones. The trio began to work on a plan that will ensure Ellen and McFarland can be together. Ellen lied about the abuse more frequently in order to get McFarland and Jones to act quickly, and in one final push, she announced she was pregnant, bringing forward their plans to solve the problem of their interfering father. There is a stark contrast between the 3 suspects during the interrogation. We have already seen Jones's over-the-top manner earlier, and his behavior remained odd as he continued to wait.
Let's make a deal. 1, thanks for the food. 2, I see Ellie and Gavin because they are both under my protection. 3, before you release Ellie to her parents, or do a background check as well as a drug test. And if you find out that her parent, her mom, is in fact doing drugs, you are to release her to me. Tell him to release Gavin. And Ellie, thank you.
Making conversation with himself to the camera could imply a mental health disorder if Jones didn't appear to be almost entertaining himself. What this video shows is just how calculating and clever Jones is, and that he knows what he's doing. He spends a lot of time appearing to make fun of the situation he's in, something those in a high IQ are known to do often, as the world can seem dull to those who become too conscious of it. Now compare that to the behavior of Ellen, known as a girl who was softly spoken and completely incapable of a crime such as this. As she stares directly into the camera, she shows contempt and superiority, and her body language is telling us she has secrets she is just hiding away. It only takes a few exchanges of words to show Ellen's awareness of the situation, and the fact that she appears to have been prepared for what was coming.
Okay. Hi.
Hello.
Are you Ellie?
No.
What's your name?
I have the right to remain silent.
Okay, you do have the right to remain silent.
Detective Stephanie Smith is an experienced police officer, and as a softly spoken female, may be just the person who can crack through the defensive wall of a determined-looking Ellen and build some kind of bond.
Is that what you're choosing to do?
Yes.
Okay. I at least need to know your name, though.
Her defensive look shows how nervous she is underneath the surface, and then she decides to begin with a lie.
You don't want to tell me your name?
Rain.
Rain? Okay, Rain, well, if you choose that you want to talk, I'm around, okay?
Ellen tries to assert dominance of the situation, yet appears angry. Her posture shows her maturity, a maturity that may be beyond her friends and her years, and would help to explain why she got involved with someone older than herself.
Why am I being detained?
Her raised eyebrows and unbreaking eye contact shows that although Ellen is angry at the situation, she is still trying to assert dominance and to manipulate the situation in her own favor. She did not, however, bank on the skills of one of the force's finest officers. The detective quickly takes control of the interrogation, while allowing Ellen to believe she still has autonomy, and we see Ellen visually relax a little after being read her Miranda rights. The detective explains the call to her father's house, and she tries to push Ellen into revealing what happened. She tries to deceive the detective when asked if she was at her father's house. And as we know, pathological lying is one trademark of a guilty criminal.
I would like to know why I'm detained.
Okay. So we got a call of concern at your house today, and your little sisters are pretty scared about what happened there. And so what we're doing is trying to figure out what happened. And the police went to your house, and we're also a little bit worried about what's going on over there.
I haven't been there all night.
Well, there are things that would indicate otherwise.
Ellen's raised eyebrows reveal not only that she is lying, but that she knows her lie is unreliable. The detective begins to fill in the gaps and mentions her sisters and how worried they are, perhaps to see what reaction she will get from her suspect.
This morning, your little sisters ran over to your mom's house and told your mom about something that worried them that they saw in your house, okay? And what that was a large amount of blood. And they described a few things that you had been doing at the house. Kind of the way you said goodbye, and that it worried them because they weren't sure if they were going to see you again, and they love you. And that really worried them a lot about where you were going and why you were leaving so quick, because they care about you and they love you.
Ellen continues to maintain eye contact with her eyebrows raised. She shows no sign of emotion at hearing the news of her father and the blood they found.
Do you love your sisters?
Yes.
And you care about kind of how they feel about you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anybody would. You know that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The detective tells Ellen how much her sisters love her, a tactic used to get an emotional reaction from the suspect. Although Ellen remains the same, her fists pressed against each other and her thumbs moving, along with her high-pitched voice, tell us she is displaying the signs of attachment to her siblings, which the detective can begin to take advantage of.
That's what we need to hash out, you know? What did your sisters see? Why are they worried?
Yeah, what did they see?
That's what I'm going to ask you.
To be honest, I don't have a clue.
Ellen remains determined until her composure slips. Her face becomes tense and more animated. If she knows nothing about what happened, then why did she tense up?
You said that there was a large amount of blood? Mm-hmm. Is everybody okay?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Sounds like she's imitating someone else here, maybe suggesting that she has practiced this line several times and indeed shown that her behavioral is not a mental health issue, but more an intelligent attempt to throw suspicion away from herself. Is she acting on her own, or is there an outside influence? Let's compare her interrogation to that of her boyfriend.
Ellie, it's been almost a year now, I'd say.
Okay. Boyfriend, girlfriend?
It's only about 6 months.
There's some information that Ellie might be pregnant. Has she told you that? Okay.
He expresses an unnatural calmness as he openly admits to committing the crime, as he is well aware of the age of consent and that Ellen is a minor. And according to the people who know him, this is not something that comes as a surprise.
He would like hang around middle schools. When he had turned 18 is when everybody like found out that he was with like a 15-year-old. People were automatically like, okay, bro, like that's not cool. And he wanted her at any cost. No one else could have her.
As McFarland had neither denied or objected to the claims made, the officers can now downplay the repercussions of the crime in order to get McFarland to open up more and hopefully give vital clues as to what happened the night of the murder. The officers will try to rationalize the crime, make it appear the offense is nothing to worry about.
You guys are only, what, 3-4 years apart? A little over 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
McFarland continues to show dominance here. His lips are almost a smile or a smirk, telling us that he is confident and not at all nervous despite his closed body language. Now the officers can try and find the truth of the alleged abuse Ellen had claimed to be suffering during her interrogation.
I would actually like to speak truth today. Okay? I think that your mom is, it's been a long time since I've seen a parent like your mom was today. She was on her knees on the ground, sobbing, because that's how worried she is about you. So where'd you spend last night?
I didn't sleep last night.
So where's the last place you slept?
My mother and my father's house.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've talked to your mom, and so I know that you hadn't been staying there.
Right, it's my father's weekend. I go back and forth, though, because my father is a little bit abusive.
Ellen mentions the alleged abuse by her father out of context to the line of questioning and may be proof that she is just retelling a story that the 3 suspects may have come up with before their arrest. They question McFarland on the subject, something he is all too happy to oblige.
Her dad's an alcoholic, and he goes and she said that he's her and locked her in the bathroom before.
Notice McFarland has a shaky voice, a sign of anxiety, or more precisely, social anxiety. He has now planted his seed of lies, and the officers can use this to their advantage. While talking, McFarland claimed the abuse made him lose his temper.
Has she ever told you that anything in regards to?
That was just recently. That's what set me off. So.
As he says the word, so, he nods several times, an act of manipulation that criminals use to make someone believe a lie. He then turns to victimization and paints Aaron Friar as the bad guy.
So what was the plan going over to Ellie's last night? Was it to pick up her belongings and get her out of that situation?
Pick her up some stuff and get her out of there, yeah.
Okay.
He's held me at gunpoint before.
He what?
He's threatened my life and held me at gunpoint before.
Aaron has over at his house?
And then there was one time he came over banging on my door because he was all mad. I actually called you guys for that because I was like, I didn't want to go out the door, look out the window, or see anything because I didn't know if he had a gun or not. But
how long ago was that you called us?
I think it was a month ago.
He nods again while lying, and even tells the officers that he had called the police on Ellen's father before. He's nodding to gain sympathy, as he continues to paint himself as a victim, which is very similar to Ellen's demeanor, implying this may be a story concocted to try and fool the police. But these officers are no fools. As McFarland recites his side of the story, we can see his eye contact is minimal. He's looking down almost this entire part of the interrogation, only looking directly at the officers as he finishes each part of the story and clearly expressing cognitive distortion. Any distraction would throw McFarland off his story, so he keeps his eyes down so as to not lose his time frame and facts. Next, McFarland lays further blame on the father.
I don't know what caused him to not like me anymore.
Okay.
So he was really chillaxed. I mean, he was, of course, being like the protective dad. He said, I'll knock out your teeth if you ever hurt my daughter. And I was like, yeah, I understand.
It appears he wants to play the part of the boyfriend who is devastated her father does not approve.
Does he drink a lot?
So, yes, he is an alcoholic.
The responses to the question about Aaron Friar's alcohol problems are instantaneous, revealing this is a very important part of the story that the 3 are all retelling, and a possible distraction from something McFarland is trying to hide. Meanwhile, back in Ellen's interrogation.
Do you go to school?
No.
No? What's the last grade you completed?
12th.
You completed 12th grade?
Now the detective will ask baseline questions about Ellen's life that she should be able to answer truthfully. This will allow the detective to judge the body language when she is telling the truth or when she is lying when she asks questions regarding the night in question.
How old are you?
18.
Okay. Where did you go to school?
South Medford High School.
When did you graduate?
Last year. Class of 2017. This year, sorry. Class of 2017.
She quickly corrects herself in an animated outburst where she uses hand gestures for the first time. Clearly, Ellen is correcting a lie that she forgot to tell. Moments like these show the difference between Ellen's behavior during baseline questions and questions about the night before. Most notably, her eyebrows are raised as she lies about her age, and she plays nervously with her fingers. She's building up to the moment she will catalog abuse from her father. But is there any real basis for these claims? When the shocked community found out this information through Medford police social media, they backed Aaron Friar all the way, praising the father of 3 and his dedication to his children. Despite his solid reputation as a parent, the trio of murder suspects continue to point suspicion toward him.
My father was very upset about something.
What was he upset about?
I can't recall. He has very violent outbursts.
Okay.
My dog was hit by a car because he smashed a glass table onto my dog, and the gate was open, so my dog ran outside and he got hit by a car.
My goodness, when did that happen?
A couple of weeks ago.
As she recalls stories of her father's alleged abuse, you can watch her zone out from stimuli-related distractions so she can concentrate on what is appearing to be a well-rehearsed series of statements. She views the detective with contempt, displaying superiority throughout.
So what was going on yesterday to make you leave?
Just didn't really like the environment. I just didn't like the vibe.
Okay. So who was home when you left?
My sisters and my dad.
Okay.
Where's my dad now?
Her attempt at concern does not feel this detective. Her all too obvious giveaways that she is lying tells the police officer all they need to know. Ellen's aggressive staring and her raised chin shows that although she knows she is in trouble, she's still showing resilience and even mocks the detective visually when she gets the name of her dog wrong.
I just want to have an honest conversation with you. I think that your sisters are beyond scared, beyond worried. Okay? Like, for instance, the dog. Where's the dog?
Where is my dog?
What's its name? Squeakerbeak or something?
Sparklebeak.
Sparklebeak.
Where is he?
You tell me.
Where's my dog?
I don't know. Where is Sparklebeak?
I don't know.
She projects a fake vocal tone to seem genuinely concerned about her missing dog and emphasizes that concern several times. But at this point, it is impossible to tell whether Ellen is capable of feeling emotion or just very good at faking it. By now, this detective is way ahead and begins to unfold Ellen's lies.
Because you're actually the one that took Sparklebeak.
I took him for a walk around the block and then I dropped him back off.
Sparklebeak is not anywhere to be found. Your sisters remember you taking... Your sisters actually remember you taking him this morning and walking out the door with Sparklebeak.
Where's my dog?
I think only you know the answer to that.
No, I don't.
It would be nice to be able to at least let Sierra and Olivia know.
I don't know.
Now she turns to questions on Ellen's boyfriend, following a strict line of questioning that has only one end goal.
Do you have a boyfriend?
My parents made us break up.
Oh, they did? Tell me about that.
They just didn't like him.
Mm-hmm. How'd you meet him?
School.
At South? Okay. And so you've been out of school for a bit,
Mm-hmm.
so your parents didn't like him?
Yeah.
How come they didn't like him?
I don't know.
Well, you must have had some kind of conversation about why your parents don't like your boyfriend.
They're just like, we don't like this guy, get rid of him.
What was that boyfriend's name?
Justin.
Ellen decides to lie about her boyfriend's name, even though Russell already named McFarland during his interrogation.
Tell him to release Gavin.
During Ellen's recollections, here we see her performing ocular eye movements. She moves her eyes without synchronization, showing an inconsistency in her mind, and she switches between the story she has rehearsed and the real events of the night of the murder. Her legs locked together tells the detectives she is not being honest. The questioning once again turns to the subject of the alleged abuse.
My parents are very controlling.
Yeah.
My dad is very abusive.
Mm-hmm. In what way?
Verbally, emotionally. When I did something that he didn't like, he would grab me right here and he'd pin me against the wall.
And then what would happen?
And then my little sisters would freak out and then he'd stop.
The abuse is part of the story that all three have maintained throughout their questioning, even volunteering information out of context.
So what was being said or what was being done or what happened to lead up to him putting his hand on you?
I honestly don't know. I'd like to know that myself.
Well, I don't have that answer because you were the one that was there.
Well, like I said, he was drunk, but he's done it sober as well.
Ellen covers her mouth again as she recalls the details of abuse and frequently stares downwards, a telltale sign of lying that the detective will now see straight through. She continuously shows a level of anxiety that may be a result of Ellen attempting to fake the emotional experiences she was going through.
I'm tired.
Ellen tells the detective she is too tired to continue, yet displays a level of contempt in her facial expressions.
You just want to sit here for a few minutes?
I'd like a place to lay down and sleep.
Okay. Well, you just sit tight for a few minutes and we'll try to figure that out, okay? Okay.
She looks down at the detective with her head raised. Still playing the victim, Ellen's eyes follow the detective as she leaves, something a liar would do as they need to maintain eye contact and attempt to convince the detective she's being honest through her reassuring glances. We know Ellen is not really tired at this stage and has an ulterior motive which appears to be influenced by an outsider, which can only be one person. In McFarland's interrogation, the detective probes deeper, slowly managing to reveal more and more and more of what happened that fatal night.
And when you got over there, what time of the morning do you think it is now that you guys arrive?
It was 2:30 in the morning.
2:30 in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
Is when you guys get there? Okay.
Expert questioning has led the officers to a point where McFarland is close to some kind of confession. Here, Russell Jones is referred to as RJ, another move by the detective to give an air of familiarity to the proceedings.
What do you and RJ do at that point?
At that point, RJ was like, okay, and then, gas bubble or something.
McFarland stops and claims he has gas, a distraction technique to compose his thoughts and trying to gain some kind of sympathy. His posture is firm and his lips are pressed together as he tries to focus on the story he's following.
I go in the window, RJ waits outside.
He waits outside,
Yeah.
and then do the bags start getting passed out the window?
Yeah.
With the detective trying to find out the finer details, McFarland becomes more closed, crossing his arms, which, as we know, is a method of reducing stress and for self-soothing, and staring straight down to the floor to keep his concentration solely on the story he is telling, without unnecessary distractions. Thanks to the smarts of these two officers, the truth of that fatal night is about to be revealed in all its horrifying detail. After revealing they had entered the house on the previous Saturday night.
I mean, we went over there last night, but, I mean, we didn't go for it because her dad's girlfriend was there.
McFarland begins to realize the trouble he has gotten himself into.
I know I'm in serious trouble, aren't I?
Although this is not a confession to murder, here he's trying to tell the officers that he tried to save his girlfriend from the abuse she claims, even though he knew it was a wrong thing to do. But is McFarland just acting again? Or is there a brain imbalance that is causing him to act this way?
So now you've been there about 20 minutes before Ellie interacts with her dad.
Watch as he removes his coat as naturally as possible. It's easy to assume he's hot, but this could be a result of cold sweating, which happens in a stressful situation. McFarland mumbles as he talks as if trying not to lose track of the story he's telling.
What happens next?
So then Ellie got out, and they waited in the car, and then...
Ellie went to the car?
Yeah.
Did she go out the window or the front door?
She went out the window.
Okay.
Watch as he performs what is known as a political nose rub, a popular method of self-soothing, and a politician's telltale sign that they're lying. McFarland is visibly becoming more uncomfortable. What detectives reveal next will only make this suspect even more uncomfortable.
And when you said they waited in the car, are you talking about RJ and her?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that the car is seen on video on a surveillance camera at a neighbor's house, leaving at about 5:50 in the morning. If you're getting into the bedroom at about 2:30, you're talking about 3 hours until you guys leave. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay. That entire 3-hour time, what's going on inside the bedroom? I mean, what's the purpose of waiting so long?
We were trying to wait for him to fall asleep again so that we could get out.
And then the final part of the trio of suspects' insidious plan to fool the police is put into action.
And then he starts to wake up, and I just acted on instinct, and I don't know what I was doing.
Another lie by the suspect. McFarland is trying to use the victimization strategy while all along revealing a series of events that must have been planned for weeks before the event, and then twist it into a story that they want to appear as foolproof.
And then, I just kept hitting him until he stopped, and then I heard, gurgling, and I was like, what's going on? I'm really sorry. I'm trying to help. Sorry.
He begins to sob directly in front of the officers. Any normal person might see this and feel empathy. But this behavior is a classic maneuver to make us feel sorry for him, which is the real intention for the tears, and a direct sign of psychopathy. Perhaps knowing where this will end, McFarland then turns on the girl he supposedly loves.
I didn't want to kill him. I didn't want to kill him.
Right, but why not at 4:30 when you know she has keys, why not just everybody go out the window and leave?
Ellie hates her parents. She doesn't want to go back there again. She wanted him dead, but I didn't want to kill him. And I was like, I'm not going to kill him. She was all like, no, I don't want him around me. I don't want him around my sisters anymore.
No.
I'm trying to protect Ellie.
Okay.
My boss will try it.
Survival mode has kicked in, and it appears he will now say whatever it takes to point the blame elsewhere and hopefully get away with his crimes. But is he really the victim of a manipulating girlfriend? His relatives seem to think that Ellen is not as innocent as she makes out.
So do you think that Ellie could have influenced Gavin?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would never see my nephew acting in that behavior of brutally killing somebody. From my point of view and everybody else, my family, we all agree that Ellie was 100% at fault.
During the long hours of interrogation, the events of the night in question are finally revealed. The three had planned to murder Aaron Friar to give the two lovers the freedom they wanted to continue their forbidden love affair. During questioning, McFarland had already confessed to entering the house the Saturday before the murder. He and Russell make an attempt to execute their plot while Ellen is at a school event. The pair entered the Friar's house through Ellen's bedroom window, and they creep through the house, only stopping and changing their minds when they realize Aaron Friar's girlfriend is also at home, so they quickly leave the scene. It would be 2 days until their next attempt. On the morning of October 2nd, when McFarland entered the house with the help of Ellen, while Russell, armed with a machete, remained outside. They waited until Aaron Friar was asleep, when McFarland used a metal baseball bat to beat the father to death before sending Ellen a message that he had succeeded. Jones now entered the house, and the trio followed their plan, which was to get rid of the body using the victim's own car. They wrapped Aaron Friar in blankets and placed him in the trunk before leaving the scene. The body stayed in the trunk for several hours before being dumped into an embankment, along with crucial pieces of incriminating evidence. The car is left abandoned, and the murderous trio begin to walk back on foot, which is why they are apprehended by officers and brought in for questioning. Police concluded that Aaron Friar had been bludgeoned to death in his own home while he slept, with the official cause of death by blunt force trauma to the head.
A top story tonight, 17-year-old Ellen Friar is sentenced to 25 years in prison for plotting to kill her father.
Friar pleaded guilty for her role in the murder when she was only 15. 2 other young men are also charged.
Judge Lisa Grief read the sentencing today for 17-year-old Ellen Friar.
Upward durational departure to 240 months.
She will serve 25 years in jail. That means she'll be about 40 years old when she gets out. Michelle Robinson was Aaron Friar's girlfriend at the time of the murder. She believes the sentencing was fair, even if Ellen was only 15 years old at the time.
No. You know what? I was a teenager at one point too, and she made the wrong choice.
Robinson also spoke to the courtroom today, and she says today is a turning point for her.
Just let the healing begin.
You haven't started healing yet?
No. I No, this has been one of the roughest things I've ever been through in my life.
McFarland was also sentenced to 25 years incarceration, while the final defendant, and definitely the most unhinged, Russell Jones, who entered no contest pleas, was sentenced to 15 years with 2 years of supervision after he's released. This trio of conspirators all plotted together in an attempt to murder, all to give these two lovers the freedom they craved for. Now the only freedom they will see will be the hands of a parole board.